Right, this is the People's Mirror, KE, and welcome back. Now, the DCI is putting a close to the Jirongo's case, and they did that yesterday. The DCI is saying that out of the investigation that they have done, including the interviews that they have done with willing parties that presented themselves for interviews by the DCI, including the wife of the deceased and the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Wetangula, it is now fit to conclude that that was not a foul play and it was completely an accident. Now, this is the final statement that the Director of Criminal Investigation is giving on the Jirongo matter that has had the country shaken for quite some time. While this is coming out, a closer look of the CCTV image that shows Jirongo driving into the petrol station before the fatal accident taking place now reveals a silhouette image of an extra person sitting in the co-passenger seat. Now, this has raised questions. Other than that, there is alleged 7 individuals that have also showcased themselves saying that they were passengers in this particular climax bus, are also raising questions. Now, these are areas that would have been interviewed deeper and, of course, analyzed deeper by the DCI, but the closure of that file now puts an end into this particular critical questions around the death of the former Lugari Member of Parliament, Honorable Cyrus Jirongo. Here at the People's Mirror, we will do a detailed report of these particular questions that are arising at the time that the file is now being closed permanently. But away from that, let us take a look at a political story before we come back to the Jirongo matter conclusively towards the end of this episode. And this is the concern of low voter turnout on the set Saturday elections that are supposed to take place in 20 counties in Kenya. Of course, most people are not aware of this, but the ruling party, that is the United Democratic Alliance Party under President William Ruto, is set to hold their grassroots elections in over 20 counties this Saturday. Now, these 20 counties span across both the Rift Valley area, the Mountain Kenya area, and of course the western part, where 9 counties in the Mount Kenya area will be facing these elections. 9 counties out of the Rift Valley will be facing these elections, and 2 counties out of the western part of Kenya will also be facing these elections, and we will detail that shortly. It's important to remember that this ruling party had started these grassroots elections before, prior to the Gen Z protest that put a halt to everything within this ruling party, just after they had done Homa Bay and Busia counties conclusively with this particular grassroots elections. Here, the People's Mirror, we want to take a look at what are they electing, what is the structure, and why is that the structure, and what does it mean for 2027 if this election goes successfully for the United Democratic Alliance, or if this election goes contrary for them, based on the fact that the Mount Kenya area where these elections are set to take place is the backyard of Rigathi Gachagua that was ousted in October 2024, and where now former members of the UDA party that went under that ticket are now undecided between the UDA and the DCP party in their own backyard. So what is this going to mean for the UDA and the DCP party within the Mount Kenya region? So keep it here, the People's Mirror, as we delve into these 2 analyses. But first, if this is your first time joining our channel, then please hit the subscribe button so that we keep detailing to you things within the Kenyan political scene and decisions within the government spaces. Let's start with this story. Now, President Ruto is yet to confront, of course, the shadow of Rigathi Gachagua in the mountain area with these particular elections. And whereas the president might not be directly involved in these elections, and these elections will be hugely overseen by Honorable Anthony Mwaura, who is actually the National Election Board Chair of the UDA party, the decision or how the voter people will turn out of this particular exercise means a lot for the president's bid in 2027. And now, the ruling party had since extended the deadline thrice, showing that actually it has taken 2 angles. Other individuals feel like this extension thrice shows how the public is not so acceptant to the UDA idea, to the fact that they have to extend deadlines to have more people coming in for these particular elections. But Anthony Mwaura, who is the chairperson of that board, has defended their extension, saying that there was an overwhelming interest by individuals to actually contest, and the ruling party does not want to let anyone outside. Now, this exercise that should see over 240,000 being members and officials of the UDA party at the grassroots level now is reported by Anthony Mwaura that over 100,000 Kenyans have shown interest to contest in these party positions. Now, what are they contesting? Before we take a look at the counties where this particular election is going to take place, first, let us take a look at what is being contested. Now, there will be 4 positions for youth representative. Of course, this is intended to tap into the youth votes within the grassroots level, where of course 2 positions will go to male youths and 2 positions will go to female youths in this particular election spectrum. So if there is a youth vote in any part of these counties that will be doing this particular exercise, the ruling party now intends to have 4 youth members per county representing the interest of the youth under that county. Other than that, there will be 3 positions for religious groups. Now that's already a total of 7 persons, but 3 positions for religious groups is rather also well stationed. Let's say, for example, if 1 position is given to a Sunday going religious denomination, 1 position is given to a Saturday going religious denomination, and 1 position is given to a Friday going religious denomination, then it taps into both the Muslim, the Protestant, and the Catholicism denominations that exist within the Kenyan space, and the rest that go to church on Sunday. So this tap into the religious space also reinforces the UDA way of coming into power in 2022. Remember that the UDA hugely came into power tapping into this particular religious space. Now that there will be an election in this particular area, and that will also be conducted on Saturday. Then there will be 4 representatives going for the traders. Remember, the UDA party came into power through the bottom-up approach, and so this particular grassroots elections now give positions of 4 party positions to traders, being 2 traders, of course, male, and 2 traders being female, advancing the interest of the UDA party. Imagine you have people talking about the party or representing the party in church, you have people representing the party in the youth, you have people representing the party in the market, you have officials of the party across all human lives ahead of the 2027 election against a united opposition that is still yet to have its structures in place. This seems like setting a very unfair ground, or rather a calculated ground from a political angle for the 2027 presidential race. But other than that, there will also be 3 representatives for professionals. I don't know how this will be balanced, but if they are professionals that also do not find themselves in church, in the market, or with the youth, 3 representatives will be elected in each county out of these counties to advance their interest within the party. The party has not forgotten the special interest group. Now this is being the group of the minority in terms of the disabled, and a group of minority of whatever nature. 1 person will be elected per county out of these 20 counties to represent their interests. So this exists, of course, as a barometer, mostly in the mountain area. If people turn out much to fill these positions, out of the 9 counties that will be doing these elections, of course, it's 15 people per. That's 15 people per county being elected. So that's a total of 135, of course, officials being elected per county. 135 officials being elected per county to represent those interests of the county per grassroots. So no, that's in nine counties, because it's 15 people being elected per county. So that's like 15 times 9 counties. That's around 135 people to advance the interest of those individuals. And there are other positions in that particular grassroots guideline that will also fit elections. Of course, you remember agents of the party is also a thing that they will be considering out of this after these particular elections. And so it expands into a very huge population. Now, it will be a barometer in the mountain area, because this is the backyard of Rigathi Gachagua. And as we take a look at the counties that will be taking this particular elections, you will see that most of them might have gone through the UDA party when they were being elected in 2022. But right now, as a result of the impeachment that took place in October 2024, their position is rather undecided politically when it comes to standing with President William Ruto, or when it comes to standing with Rigathi Gachagua. So the Anthony Mwaura, the chairperson of the board, has also said that they are confident that this election will go successfully because they have set aside 60,000 personnel to oversee this particular election. So that will be like 24,000 polling clerks, 12,000 presiding officers, and of course in each presiding station they intend to have 2 police officers. So that's a total of 24,000 police officers, bringing around 60,000 personnel deployed to overlook these particular elections that are set for Saturday. Now the main thing is the turnout. Yeah, the people going to turn out to elect these people, or are people going to turn out to vie in this particular position when this election is going to be done, because that will determine the fate of the UDA party moving forward. Looking into the counties that are actually doing this election, if we take a look at these counties across. Who is the governor and where do they affiliate themselves? Is this a good move? Does it set ground for the UDA party, or is this a resistant move? Is it going to face resistance against for the UDA party? Look at Tharaka Nithi, for example, where these elections are being done. Muthomi Njuki is doing his second term and is doing that under the Jubilee party ticket, and so Tharaka Nithi area is not so a sure area for the UDA party. But you also cannot forget the fact that the deputy president comes from this particular area. So this is the area that recently, of course, also faced faced a by-election in its neighborhood, being the Embu County, where the Mbeere North by-election was taking place. And now election is being taken to the backyard of the deputy president. We are going to see whether or not people are going to turn out to vote for the officials of the UDA party, and whether they are going to do that in numbers as a reflection of party members of the UDA party ahead of the 2027 election. This is also very important for the deputy president, because his fate as the deputy president post 2027 is based on including, among other things like this. Then of course there's Baringo County, where Honorable Benjamin Cheboy is doing his second term under the UDA party. This is in the Rift Valley area, and this is going to be a very receptive area for this particular by-election, grassroots elections, because this is the backyard of the president in the Rift Valley area. Of course, the same goes to Bomet, where Barchok took it over from Joyce Laboso. Lona Laboso passed way back with Kipkalia Konnes on the same aeroplane clash, and may their soul rest in peace. But in Bomet, where Barchok took it from Joyce Laboso in 2019, of course, after the busing of Joyce Laboso, you remember the late Laboso was under the Jubilee party ticket, and this is also within the Rift Valley area. So we are yet to see how this is going to play out on Saturday. Elgeyo Marakwet, where Wesley Rotich is currently the governor under the UDA party ticket, is going to be very, very responsive in this particular by-election, and we are going to see whether or not they are going to turn out in numbers to defend the party that took their that has their governor serving, of course, under. Then there is Embu County, where Cecily Mbariri comes from. Cecily Mbariri is actually the national chairperson of the UDA party right now, and so this particular county, their turnout is going to be based on two things: influence of Rigathi Gachagua in this particular area, or the influence of the national party chairperson and the resources of the party. Of course, remember that the fight of Gachagua has been centered against people including Barire, who Gachagua feels like betrayed the mountain area by serving in the position like the national party chair of the UDA after the UDA party, of course, ousted Honorable Rigathi Gachagua. So this is a test ground in this particular grassroots elections on how people are going to turn out based on that particular fight. There is Kiambu, where Honorable Governor Wamatangi is having internal fights, but is serving under the UDA party ticket for the first time, seeking re-election on the second time. Now Kiambu might be very responsive to these particular elections based on the fact that the first governor of Kiambu, Honorable Kabogo, is serving as a cabinet secretary in the government right now. Gives Kiambu a very responsive opportunity to respond to these particular elections. Of course, you also remember the fact that Kiambu has been in this fight, saying that Kiambu is not part of Mount Kenya region, and so their turnout on Saturday will cement that. It will show us whether or not the ruling party still have influence in Kiambu or not. Run away from Kiambu, let's take a look at Kirinyaga. These elections are also set to take place in Kirinyaga, where Governor Waiguru has promised to go on to a door-to-door tour to actually promote the policies of President William Ruto against the dominance of Rigathi Gachagua. Now remember, Kirinyaga is part of Mount Kenya West, where the dominance of Rigathi Gachagua is actually very high. So the turnout in this particular grassroots elections from Kirinyaga will be something that will be looked at very keenly. Then there is Laikipia, of course, where Honorable Joshua Wakahora He's doing his second term under the UDA party. It's also part of the extent West Mount Kenya part, and it's also the area that Waiguru and now Rigathi Gachagua are now facing themselves head on against. Remember, was in Gishu, where Jonathan B comes from. That is his second term under the UDA party. This area is from the Rift Valley area, and we take a look at it as one of the areas that are going to be very, very responsive in this particular grassroots elections. Of course, then there is Samburu under Lali Lelit, that is a UDA governor. There is Kericho. Eric Mutai has been trying to fight impeachment there, and of course serving under the UDA party might be responsive. Nakuru, Susan Kihika is anti-Rigathi Gachagua, and of course this part might not be centered in the Mount Kenya area, but the test of Rigathi Gachagua vis-a-vis the Kihika's dominance will also be put to test on how people will turn out on Saturday. There is Nandi, where Kipyegon Sang is serving his second term. Most likely they are going to be responsive. There's Trans Nzoia under Natembeya. This is also going to be a very interesting area in the Rift area, because Natembeya's dominance in Tawe movement vis-a-vis the UDA turnout of Nakumicha will also be a test not only of the success of the UDA party, but also of the dominance of Natembeya in that particular region. Of course, Kangata's Muranga is also in test. You remember Senator Methu asked Honorable Kangata to jump ship and join the DCP party, and so Muranga might actually be a place where the DCP party is gaining dominance over the UDA party. And of course, Mr. Kangata is also serving under the Jubilee party ticket. Nyandarua, where Badilisha is under the UDA party ticket. Nyeri, where Mutai Kahiga is doing his second term. Kakamega, where Baraza is under the ODM party ticket. And Vihiga, where Wilbur Kaliso is under the ODM party ticket, will also be facing this particular election. So in total, 11 out of the 20 counties have their governors serving under the UDA party ticket, and 13 out of the 20 counties have their governors in the broad-based arrangement. So this is going to be a test on Saturday on the fate of the broad-based arrangement in the 2027 major polls vis-a-vis the influence of Rigathi Gachagua in the mountain area and the influence of the united opposition. Back to Jirongo story. Now, it's very astonishing that this revelation are coming close, that the vehicle stopped after entering the wrong way, and after stopping, the other vehicle came at a very accelerating speed, intentional to increase impact. And there is an image that is showing an individual that was an extra in this particular passenger seat, that is now deducted from explanations from other media houses that have done a report on the Jirongo murder to be the fact that he might have stopped, left, and strategically placed the member of parliament there to face the accident. These are points that called for investigations and talks, but of course the investigation department of this country is run by the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, and so when they open and close a file, then it shows that there is no foul play. It was just a basic accident. That's the report that the DCI has since closed with the Jirongo matter, ladies and gentlemen, putting a close to every other discussion that might have existed around Jirongo. Finally, here the People's Mirror, we will keep you updated on anything else that happens around it, but with that closure, of course, it puts a stop to every other conversation around Jirongo. It's been interesting recapping for you that and the expectation of low voter turnout and rejection in the Mount Kenya area as a result of the influence of Rigathi Gachagua. Until our next episode.